Hey everybody, Steve Shermer of the Golf Gaming Podcast with a new video that we're going to start putting out. Typically, this would be reserved for the FOMO Bet of the Week. That is dead. We are no longer doing that. You know what I found out? My gut instinct is usually right. If I let the guy off my card, usually it's for a reason. So instead, I'm going to do something I think is a little more helpful to you guys. So as an industry, we love putting out our picks. Usually get them in the beginning of the week, but most of you guys might not be getting around to doing a betting card until right now. So let's clean the slate. I'm going to pretend that I had not placed a bet yet. And we're just going to give some final thoughts, and I'm going to try and put together a little bit of a betting card for anybody who hasn't yet. So I'm going to walk you through like how some odds have changed throughout the week, my general opinion about where the winners are probably going to come from, and what types of guys I want to bet. And we'll look at the odds. We'll look at where they've gone during the week, guys who've gotten steam, guys who have faded, and then we'll put together a betting card. So, just full disclosure, the guys I bet Morikawa 18-1 at the beginning of the week. I bet Sungjae Im 24-1, and I bet Ricky Fowler 33-1. Now, those prices have definitely shifted. So depending on where some other guys are, I might have actually bet a little differently. So why don't we now take a look then at where the odds board is right now. So got Data Golf here. Basically, I have all the kind of mainstream books up. I got Bet365, I got William Hill, which is Caesars, FanDuel, DraftKings, and BetMGM. And what I like about this tool with Data Golf is, it gives you their own projections of what they think is a good value or not. Sometimes I've seen that they're a little hit or miss sometimes. I do notice, though, that anything that has usually a positive EV, like this Sungjae number right here or this one right here, usually if it's at a book where it's, a good deal, it's usually bet down to around that number pretty quickly. But there's some guys who kind of fade throughout the week. So why don't we just go through the card here? So I mean, over the last year or so, if you've been watching golf, you've been betting on golf, the top of the board has been hitting. I talked about this on when I appeared on Inside Golf Podcast this week, that ever since we cut the middle class of the PG Tour out, and a lot of them went over to live, a lot of these guys who were previously 75, 80, 100 to 1, now they are down towards 50, 60 to 1, or even 40 to 1. And that used to be a really good sweet spot for the golf gambling industry. It used to be a really great sweet spot for me. But what's happened is we basically inflated the odds for a lot of these guys, and their ceilings didn't get any better. They're just the same golfer they used to be. And what that's instead done is just given a lot of these guys up at the top of the board less guys they have to beat every week. And they're just that much better in the middle tier. So take this tournament, for example. We got a very top heavy field here. I mean, Scotty, Finau, Spieth, Sungjae, Hovland, Morikawa, Homa, Fleetwood, Rose, Ricky. Data Golf is pretty high in Henley and Kirk, probably just because of the course fit of what Colonial is. We have seen a little bit of a trend, though, that the last couple of Colonials, it's been more of the premium players, the guys who actually are kind of have some length off the tee that have done a little better. And, this boilerplate template of Henley and Kirk aren't quite as good anymore. So I think for me, I think the winner is probably going to go, I guess you could throw Henley and Kirk into there. I would throw Siwoo in there because he is a winner. That's another thing too, is if there is kind of a longest shot winner, usually it's guys either playing really good lately or he's won before, he's a veteran. So I would throw Siwoo in there. I would throw probably Jaeger in there too, Cam Davis too, although Data Golf doesn't really like him. And then we'll talk about some other guys down the board too that might fit the criteria. If you want to go for a long shot, pick a guy who's a veteran. So let's start with Scheffler right now. I mean, plus 400, plus 450, pretty much across the board here. Not a whole lot of movement in his odds so far. DraftKings looks like it went down from 450 to 400 at one point. Otherwise, though, the books seem like they're just content in these weaker fields. If Scheffler is in or around is in it, just make him 4-1 and say, bet this if you want. It's not for me, but if you want to just single bullet Scheffler this week, go right ahead. Then you got, guys who are between like 12 and, 14 to 1 here. So you got Tony Finau here, who I haven't seen a whole lot of steam on this week. I think because last week he was a very popular play at Oak Hill, including me. I foolishly bet him. But the fact that no one's really talking about him all that much. I mean, his odds haven't really done anything. In fact, he's actually on Bet 365, got up to 16 to 1. There's definitely a case for Tony this week. He's very good at Colonia. He's got a runner-up finish here, I think, to Kevin Na. He's got a couple of our top 10 finishes. He fits that mold of guys who have been pretty long that have been winning here because they kind of can be a little more aggressive off the tee. And the fact that no one's really talking about him a whole lot, kind of like him. So I guess for me, he's won 5 times in less than 2 years. He just won in Mexico. Is another win coming? I mean, theoretically it could. He won 3 in a very quick span last year. He won 2 in a row. This is a very similar field as Rocket Mortgage at this point. I have a stronger conviction on another guy who has about the same odds, so I probably would not bet Finau as well as him. But I mean, looking at a top 10 here, you get a plus 175 for Finau for a top 10. And that originally wasn't on my card because he was hanging around, I think like plus one, it's 165 here, 170. He's moved up a little bit, plus 180 at Bet 365 here, 175 on DraftKings. I ended up adding that to my card actually, especially because Spieth, which we'll get to in a little bit, said some things that were a little concerning to me. So, if you can find the 16 to 1 on him, I don't really mind that all that much. I think that's a pretty good price for Tony, for a guy who, other than last week, has been hitting his irons pretty good, fits a pretty good template of what you're looking for here. 16 is a good price. For me, I'm not going to add it because I have a strong conviction on somebody else, but if you want to add 16 to your card for Finau, I like that a lot. Spieth here. So today he came out with some more details about what his wrist injury is doing. And essentially it's, I think, a torn tendon. And it's not one of those situations where he plays on it and it's not going to get any worse. It just, he has to rehab and get better. And he said today that it could theoretically get worse. And if it gets worse, he needs to stop. That's a red flag right there. He made it through Oak Hill last week. But as you can see with some of his odds right here, they're definitely drifting. I think the market is definitely afraid of some of the comments he's made and the uncertainty of that wrist injury. He's 16 to 1 over DraftKings, 14 to 1 everywhere else. I bet a top 10 on him at the beginning of the week, just thinking everything was fine. If I had heard the comments today, I probably would not have had that on my card at all. So probably at this point, if you want to try and shoot for the moon, I would recommend the outright price at 16. Otherwise, though, I think some of his positional numbers are way too short. It's either bet 16 or nothing for him at this point. I've heard a little bit of chatter about Hovland too. I think people just assuming, okay, well, following up what happened at the PGA, he's going to get his first win soon, good on his positional tracks, good at Mayakoba, good in all these shorter tracks. It seems like it's a better fit for him. He hits a fade off the tee. This is, again, like Oak Hill last week, another golf course that has a lot of left to right tee shots. Maybe just because I have a little bit of scar tissue of what happened at Heritage where I bet him and he ended up being pretty good and faltering a little bit. Maybe that's not why I wouldn't bet him either. You can get him at 16 to 1 at a couple outlets here, as you can see right here. Not much action, not much movement for his odds. Probably a pass for me. The guy I really like, though, and who I bet a much better number at the beginning is Morikawa at 18 to 1. So there's a lot of reasons to like Morikawa this week. I mean, he has not been playing well, but he has gotten some wins after some pretty crappy form. He won concession after, I think, a 70th place finish at the Genesis. He won the Open Championship with no form coming in after a really bad finish at the Scottish Open. The iron play has still been really good. He's proven he can do well here with a second place finish. A lot of tee shots that are left to right off the tee that can fit his eye. Shortest positional tracks. He's usually been pretty good at those. But the real reason why is I love this weather report for Morikawa. It seems like anytime you get him on a golf course with not a lot of wind, warm temperatures, softer greens, which is what we're going to see at Colonial this week. I really like him. So, the best number available on him is 16 to 1 at BetMGM. I definitely like that. 14, I mean, I don't love it, but it is what it is. I think just my conviction on him, I would still have him on my card at this point. So of all these guys kind of hanging around here, I like Morikawa and Finau the best. Unfortunately, you got to pick one. But pick whichever one you like and go with that. All right, so moving on to some of the guys in the 20s here. Yes, Sung J M, who has been interesting this week. You can see some of his trends here of where his odds have been going. Start out the week at 22 to 1, 20 to 1. I actually bet him at 24 to 1 at the beginning of the week, and he got steamed down immediately. Data Golf really likes him. They put his implied odds at about 18.7 to 1. So, of course, it went down immediately, and then he's just lost steam for whatever reason. He started drifting again at FanDuel. He's back up to 22. He went back up to 20 at DraftKings, back up to 20 at Bet365. I mean, because considering that I bet him at 24 to 1 at the beginning of the week, and I can get him for 22, just a little bit less, I probably would still bet that. My stance on Sung Jae has not changed since the beginning of the week. The fact that I'm not really all that concerned about, he didn't do well at Oak Hill. Coming in before that, everything looked pretty good. Decent history here. He's got a T10 here, I think, a couple of years ago, another top 20 finish as well. He's a little up and down with this place, but pretty good on these shortish positional tracks. Good bent grass powder. It seems like condition can be a little easier this week. So I would still definitely bet this number right here. Max Homa, that's somebody who's getting pretty much no action at all this week. Starting in the low 20s up to 25 to 1. I'm not interested at all in him this week. I saw him last week at Oak Hill. He didn't really look, he looked kind of miserable. The ball striking has been going away a little bit. I don't really recall a ton of success in Texas with him. Maybe next week in Murrayfield Village, I can consider it, but probably not for me here. And then Justin Rose. Instead, Justin Rose has actually been getting a lot of steam here. Started the week at 33 to 1, 30 to 1, moved down to 25 to 1. I have a top 20 on him. I think that I'm just going to limit it to that. Do I see him winning twice this year? Probably not. But I think he can have a solid finish. So, why don't we just look at his top 20 price at this point? That's it. It's gotten steam a little. I got it plus 150 at the beginning of the week. Now it's plus 125 here. Yeah, I mean, if you can find this plus 140, I think I like that. Otherwise, though, maybe look somewhere else for the top 20 or just bump up to a top 10, eat it like plus 260, even though Data Golf hates the odds. That's probably where I would go with that. And then Tommy Fleetwood, his iron play has been pretty good. Good showing at Oak Hill. Just a gut call that I don't think he had a great showing here a couple of years ago when he debuted, even though you would think this type of golf course would fit him. Maybe it's the fact that he hits mostly draws off the tee. He didn't drive it well when he came here. I don't have any Tommy Fleetwood on my card. I'm probably not going to have anything on him. Although this 33 to 1 right here, that's not bad. I already said I bet Ricky, probably foolishly, a little bit with my heart here. I'm not seeing anybody else really at his price point that I would want to bet. Maybe Sam Burns, and I'll just talk about him next. That could be tempting, but I just have a feeling with Ricky. He missed the cut on the number last week. He had one really poor iron performance and one really good one that was fortunately the second round. So at least he bounced back with that. The putter really let him down in round 2, and he missed the cut. And who knows? Maybe he would have had a little bit of a better finish if he made the cut at Oak Hill. His course history at Colonial hasn't been too good, but a lot of that has been just when he's been slumping. So I think just the fact that I'm kind of betting with my heart and I can still get him at 30 to 1 at this point, I have no reason probably to get off that. So I would still bet Ricky. However, though, I would definitely have a lot more pause about betting Ricky if I saw this Sam Burns number, because at the beginning of the week, it was 22-25. Based on his play recently, I probably wouldn't bet that, but he drifted significantly, especially over at FanDuel and DraftKings, up to 30 to 1. I mean, for a guy who just dominates on these shortish types of tracks, a guy who has proven he can win a tournament 2 years in a row, it's tempting. What I did notice about him before he wins is he usually has a little bit of form, like randomly. Like it'll be all of a sudden his irons kind of click, and then the next week he wins. He did that on the eve of his first win at Valspar. He did that at Austin Country Club earlier this year. He did that, I think, actually before this tournament. I think he was kind of slumping ahead of Southern Hills and played relatively well, and then won the next week. So I think for me, what's his top 20 price here? Yeah, that's not great either. 130, 140. I mean, it's drifted though on DraftKings. No one's really on him. I could see myself, if you were looking for a top 20 bet right now, probably Sam Burns, top 20 plus 140. I don't really mind that. Otherwise, though, I think I got too much in my card. I'm not looking to add anything else with this. Some other guys here. You got Russell Henley, Chris Kirk. Let's go back to their outright prices here. Henley has definitely gotten, he's moved up to in the 30s, on Caesars and DraftKings. I'm not betting it. I just, with a lot of these guys at the top of the field, I don't think he's beating them. Same thing with a Chris Kirk. I don't think he's getting a second win, although he's gotten a lot of steam. Started 55 to 1, move all the way down to 35 to 1 at some shops. If you want to bet him, be my guest. Cam Davis is getting a lot of steam. My co-host actually got him at 60 to 1. I bet if he saw 35 to 1 on him, he probably would not be betting him. But Cam Davis, Chris Kirk, Russell Henley, if you want to bet them top 20s, I bet Chris Kirk and Cam Davis for a top 20. That's fine. And then as far as some other guys down the card, I mean, you could go theoretically Emiliano Grillo. I mean, he was a popular outright bet at the Mexico Open. I think he was popular at maybe Byron Nelson too. I don't know if he actually played it, but he was very popular last week at Oak Hill. And he's got some good finishes here. He's won in the PGA Tour before. You can still get him at 80 to 1. He's a good ball striker. Maybe. I mean, I guess you can consider that. You can consider JT Poston as well. He's won twice on the PGA Tour. He's had his number kind of steamed up a little bit from 110 down to about 89 to 1 here. That's a decent long shot. He was only a T40 finish at Oak Hill last week, but he gained in every category. Maybe he was kind of slumping heading into there. Maybe things are kind of on the ups, and he was playing really well at the beginning of the year. And JT Poston kind of has heated up in the summers the last couple of years. Maybe this is a time for him. I mean, Data Golf loves that number, so maybe that's a decent bet for you. I mean, Harris English, everybody loved him last week. Absolutely no love, though. I think everybody got burned by him. If you want to go back to him, I mean, he has shown a high ceiling. He finished second at Bay Hill, second at Quail. His course history here is okay. That's an option if you want to go for a long shot pick. Sepp Straka, I think, is also a very good viable, although he's gotten a lot of action, as you can see here. Started the week at about 151 down to 90 to 1. I mean, at this point, it's 90 to 1, 150 to 1. You're looking for a long shot. There's not much of a difference at this point. Data Golf hates it, but it's because Sepp Straka is so up and down. Sepp Straka kind of fits the mold of like Bomber, coming in decent form. I don't think his Colonial history is all that good here, but he almost won the Country Club at Jackson last fall, and Sam Burns won there. So maybe there's a little bit of a correlation between the two. Also almost, won at TPC Southwind, has won the PGA National, 2 other positional type golf courses. Sepp Straka is a viable long shot if you want to go for that. Other than that, though, I don't really see much else down here. I will probably limit it to, pick in 2 or 3 guys, depending on how you structure your card, in about this range right here. Maybe staying off the outrights with these guys. I think they're just too low. I think, guys like Henley, Kirk, Davis, Jaeger even, I think those are positional only. If you want to throw some long shot bets, maybe a Poston, maybe a Sepp Straka, maybe a Harris English. And that's it. Show a little bit of discipline maybe, and we'll see you. And Sano, what's up, buddy? Thanks for tuning into the stream. So with that, that went a lot longer than I thought it was, but hopefully I was able to help you. Hope, maybe I gave you some ideas for some last minute bets. And yeah, good luck this week. So thank you for watching. Please go and subscribe to the Golf Gambling Podcast. Give us a rate and review. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we'll give out free videos every single week. So with that, good luck with your betting at the Charles Schwab Challenge.